Red pill or blue pill? I believe, what is it? The red and the red pill, blue pill. Isn't the blue pill like business as usual? Like you don't want to see anything, just run along, stay blind, and then taking the red pill is like the you know, the Matrix movie where you see what's going on. Like behind the scenes. Those trash cans they're coming close to my neighborhood. Yeah, I'm not really interested in well, you didn't have, let's just say, the worm that you put on that hook. It's not cutting it. That worm's not cutting it. So nah, I'm not interested. Yeah, I'll admit it is kind of fun when, as the one time I was doing my live stream and then I was at the computer and then I logged in with my other Summers Here account and I started to or maybe one of the other ones that I have, and I started to troll myself. I was clinging to me with flatteries. It was pretty funny, so I could see how, like when you make comments on your own channel, that you can comment to yourself with another account and act like, you know, in other words, you're drawing up a dialogue. You're engaging conversation with yourself to make it look like it's somebody else. That's pretty funny. It really is. So I don't blame you. I mean, it is fun, but I was doing it to be obvious because you see my face on my other account when I was trolling myself. So no, nope. You're still not getting the truth. Still won't get the truth. But there's other, like, rabbit holes that people will try to get led to, kind of like to divert the attention away from themselves. I've already been through that part too. Like when you're on to something, they will try anything possible to direct your attention away. Help is on the way. Help's on the way with, I think, everybody. Even the elite. Like, their help is on the way. Our help is on the way. And we usually finish last, right? But not least. We finish last for a reason. Because you have to let everybody else go ahead of you. Because you're kind and generous. And on top of that, you give everybody a head start. Which is even more than fair. So we give them a head start. That way it's like, well, there's no excuse that you could possibly come up with because yous were even, you know, yins were even given a full head start. Like a car length. A full car length head start. Red pill, blue pill, red, brown. It doesn't mean anything, Robin. They already changed the colors like last year to brown. Why are they changing them to red and blue, huh? tell you, that book of gematria, man, that thing got some truth to it, man. For real. That got some truth. You were right, Steve. That book is the truth. That thing, you can straight up just add to it. You can add to it if you wanted to. Like, you can connect that book with the Bible and make it like better than Strong's concordance. You can connect that book to the Bible and add to it. But you can also take away from the Bible if you add to it. You literally don't have to take anything out. You can take out just by adding to it. Because when you're adding something that doesn't belong, like a square peg in a round hole, when you're trying to add something that doesn't belong to it, well, then you're taking away from, you know, the durability of it, the strength. Because you're force feeding it, and it doesn't fit. So it ain't supposed to go there. That's why we learned that at the age of a toddler. We learned that square peg doesn't go in the round hole. And that star, well, you can't really fit it into like a triangle. You know, like the star of so-called David. You can't use it as like a pyramid. So if you add, like, let's say you're telling a story, right, that happened, it was true, but then you start adding words to it that aren't true, you take away from the truth of the story, and then you take away the the ability for people to believe the damn story. So it makes the story just fictional, and if you try to take the story serious as a fictional narrative, then it's a lie. It turns into a lie. So it's kind of the way the Bible is now. The people believe it's a lie because, well, you can add to it by using the gematria calculator and just kind of mirror off of the Bible as if gematria is the inherited word of God. So when you add that to the Bible and you try to use that to get the truth out of the Bible, you're taking away from the authenticity of the Bible. That's what you're doing, if you believe that. Okay. But man, if that gematria book is true, it's quite one amazing craft of a book that has prospered in these last days of a one-way street. These are the last days of one-way streets. least I did look into the book. It did capture my attention for a little bit, but I just couldn't understand why would you pick what determines that you're going to pick the positive out of all the stuff that's written from the negative. How do you not take the negative also? Because when you take both, it makes it lukewarm, and then therefore it's not submissible like in court, because it's reasonable doubt. But if you say it's true, well, then I guess what's written in there, and if anyone has wisdom, they can count the number of man themselves. They can count. Well, what's the number of man? What's the natural number of man? And what was Nimrod? Wasn't he 2/3 God and 1/3 man? And isn't that the same as Christ? Isn't Christ the same way? He was 2/3 God, 1/3 man. He was 66.66666% God. Like both of them. They're very similar. Besides, their power is very similar. What they do is the exact opposite. And every other man is 33.333333% God. And a third of the city, a third of them fell. A third of the green grass was burned up. Boy, that word that comes out of God's mouth, you will get burnt. It's like chopping down trees all at once, chopping them down, leaving the root, leaving the stump, not uprooting it, because it's gonna grow back. Just in the meantime, it has to get chopped down. Until like 7 times a day passes over you. 7 times a day. You can pray 7 times a day. You can pray 3 times a day. You can pray 3 times a day. Or you can pray 7 times a day, each day, for an entire week. So Nimrod had some serious pull. He had a wounded head for sure. He definitely had a wounded head, because the old Esau there, well, he chopped his freaking head off. Like he literally chopped his head off. But then, which represents just how, like John the Baptist, his head was chopped off too, announcing that Christ was, paving the way for Christ to return, or to start, either or. And so just like these days, when the fifth trumpet sounds, which it already did, and the seal has already been opened up, and the first woe has already passed. But just like those that were beheaded for holding on to the testimony, it was a spiritual beheading. But that's why Nimrod had his head chopped off, because it represents Nimrod these days, where he's only going to be beheaded for the word of God. That's all. That second death, resurrection, has no power over whoever was already resurrected the first time. The first death, the first death already happened, because they were beheaded for the, holding on to the testimony of the word of God. They were told to rest for a little season, a season of rest. It's called 7 full years of rest. Even though our works do follow us, our works, they do follow us. Because God knows our works, He knows our patience, He knows our long suffering, and He knows our works. He knows 2 types of works that we do. And it's also pretty ironic that He was in charge when the towers of Babel came crashing down. He's always involved in those the last moments of, the power exchange. I just happen to be living in this time now, where it's the final power exchange. There's a final power exchange. So, yeah, Nimrod's spirit, well, it's always been in existence, just like all of our spirits. We've always been here. This is just the last time that anybody has to be taught about God. That's why He waited until over 7 billion people are born. 7 billion people. 7.7 to be just about exact. It's easier to teach people that way. So that's why I say Steve has a great knowledge of the truth. You're supposed to know the Bible inside and out. You've always known. you are the closest thing to God. Yep. You're not like God, but you're like God. But you're not like God, but you are like God. It's like knowing good and evil. You're like God, but you're not like Him. You're made like Him. You're just not like Him. I mean, they truly are your own words, and that's exactly what it means. It's pretty crazy how you can say the same words, but they have an exact opposite meaning. That's kind of the way the Bible is, though. If you don't understand it spiritually, well, you look at it literally, and then it doesn't make sense, and then it looks like it's a lie. It's a book just written by man, and then you don't believe it. But the elite, and well, let's just say Steve, per se. Steve, he's starting to believe that the Bible is true. He's starting to believe that. I'll be talking to Steve a lot when they shut me off. Steve, you'll still hear me. I'll still be talking. I know you'll be listening. It's like I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop producing the Word of God just because YouTube has shut my channel down. YouTube itself won't get shut down until everything gets shut down. But I know better. Or I'm just paranoid schizophrenic, and I'm just going to be talking to myself. Because who's listening anyway, Rab? You barely even got any views. I mean, we suppressed the channel. But hey, look, all those subscribers you got, it doesn't even line up. You're buying your subscribers, Robin. Ha ha ha. That's how we do it, man. Like, yeah, I know. I know that my #1 fan is SJD. And I also know that SJD is exactly the person on earth that I need to talk to. It's purposed that way. And there's really only 2 people that know that. There's really only 2 people that know that. One of them's myself, and one of them is SJD. Others can think, maybe that's meant to be that way, maybe. I don't know. But who's Steve? I mean, he's just a poor, suffering servant. Poor, suffering servant. I mean, I'll tell you what, Steve, swinging the hammer all the time, I mean, take it from me, I know what you're saying. It kind of wears you out, strapping on that tool belt all the time, going out there working for a living, like with your own hands, hard labor type ordeal, building houses with your hands and not with your mouth, I mean, I can build a house with my mouth too, but I will, but I'm also going to build it with my hands too. So yeah, being a carpenter, it's rewarding in a sense, but at the same time, it's still labor, but you get to create things, so that's what makes you feel better when you're done doing a job. I never got bored of doing carpentry. That's why when I don't have to work anymore, and nobody else does either, whatever it is that I want to do, I will. And that's one of them. I'm still going to build. I'm just going to be helping a lot of people. And no, I never thought that I would. But now I understand that I will. And I haven't put many years into this thought either. Just the past few months, finally started to realize, oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is why I'm going through all this. This is why you're being watched, surveilled 24/7. Because I can't wait for the time when it's just God and His surveillance is keeping an eye on me and not Satan. So yes, I'm used to Satan looking at me day in and day out and listening to my conversation. Yes, I am. I'm used to people constantly perfect timing, street theater reenactments, just as you leave, as you're there, as you pull up, as you go, as you walk, there's always a something in front of you. So I understand perfect timing, and I have time in myself. So I appreciate the way that you guys organize those skits. Definitely on point. So I'm used to being seen in that way, but it's going to be so much more gratifying to be seen for telling the Word of God and then spreading His judgment, and then the judgment happens, and then afterwards people are listening to every single word in a good sense that I'm saying, and not being creepy about it. So yeah, I'm used to being listened to by God. Can't wait for it to be an eternity.